Meanwhile, the new Biden-Harris student loan bailout plan is making some waves. President Biden unveiled the plan yesterday that would help bail out some 30 million borrowers. And he promised he will never stop using taxpayer money to do it. He wants to erase the debt of those people, even if it means blowing past the U.S. Supreme Court.
Tens of millions of people's debt was literally about to get canceled. But then some of my Republican friends and elected officials and special interests sued us, and the Supreme Court blocked us. But that didn't stop us. No, I mean it sincerely. We continue to find alternatives paths to reduce student debt payments that are not challengeable. I will never stop to deliver student debt relief and hardworking Americans.
Vice President Kamala Harris proudly told Americans they want taxpayers to foot the bill, no matter what.
If you've paid undergrad loans for 20+ years or graduate loans for 25 or more years, your loans will be completely forgiven, regardless of your income and even if you did not graduate. And forgiveness will be automatic for the vast majority of the 25 million people that we believe will benefit from this approach.
Sean, there are not many people who feel like they can flout the U.S. Supreme Court. Biden's in like his own lane right now, and he's begging, hoping that it's going to generate votes.
No doubt, and this is all politics. So this is, traditionally in America, we have this idea that you'll take from the rich and give to the poor, making promises to poor people in elections or poorer people in elections. This is the first time you have Joe Biden who wants to take money from poor people, the plumbers and the electricians, to buy off the rich people. That's remarkable to me. But again, I think Joe Biden is a tyrant. He's a dictator. He's a threat to democracy. So we have three co-equal branches of government. The Supreme Court said Joe Biden can't do it. The Congress never passed a law that said he could do it. And they've never funded a student loan forgiveness plan. But Joe Biden's doing it anyway. And all the while he stands on the stage and goes, Republicans are a threat to democracy. No, Joe, you are a threat to democracy.
You know, Tammy, I did some research earlier today with my team, and for a 4-year degree or more, 70% of the American workforce does not have that level of education. Some may have gone to two years or less than that, some none at all. They will be called upon as American taxpayers to pay for all of those who have had the ultimate experience of those 4+ years of college. Is that fair?
It's not, and it may prove that going to college actually ruins your future. I don't know. Oh
my goodness.
But, I mean, come on. That's the other issue. It's not just those who are still paying their loans. It's those who don't have them who now are paying them. And you have to think, what were these people, majoring in? Were they majoring in these dumb kinds of things, women's studies, racial studies, things that where you're gazing at your navel? That's where perhaps the colleges should start to pay off some of these things instead of the taxpayers, because they allowed these people to graduate without a skill.
But that's not what's happening, right? All we're doing is telling the colleges that you can charge anything you want to. And now we're seeing these costs rise yet again. You said $70,000 a year was a lot. You said $80,000 a year was a lot. Now it's going to be 6 figures, $100,000 at some schools. Wow. This is ridiculous. And what Biden is doing is compounding the mistakes of the federal government and the reforms they put on these loans. They said, we're going to give you a better way to pay, a slower way to pay. And what happened? The interest on those loans, that's what kicked up and sent total debt to $1.7 trillion.
I know because of your acumen at Fox Business, you're flying at 37,000 feet. Help us fly with you. So dig into the numbers a little bit. What happens if another president flips the switch to all those people with loans?
Well, look, they've got to find a way to pay. The schools have to lower their costs. The schools are addicted to this federal money. They know that no matter what happens, they're going to get paid. There's no reason to lower costs. These students, there's going to be a generation of students who have to pay this off slowly and for a long time. I don't think there's any way the generous repayment plans will be taken back. I don't think it can happen.
Wow. I want to just go back to you, Tammy, because you said something, and I know there may be some questions about it. You said that women's studies, race studies, those things are dumb places to put education as a mostly women's show. I want you to clarify if you can.
Yeah, well, when we think about what are you going to do for a living when you graduate, right? What kinds of things that are you going to be able to make money? You go to college, the presumption is you are going to be upper middle class or you're going to be making enough money for the American dream versus looking at social activism or that kind of thing, that kind of dynamic at a grassroots level, combined with the nature of the indoctrinations when it comes to left-wing politics, the nature of what you're being trained to do, which is to agitate or to be a poet. Right, that doesn't. Ask Sylvia Plath. It doesn't get you far.
Oh my goodness.
So we have to think about when you think about vocational schools. But you can also go to college, and even philosophy helps you deal with any kind of work you want to do. Or you think about the nature of communications. There's all kinds of different things.
How about economics?
I would quickly say it's the lawyers and the doctors who are sucking up so much of this money.
Because it costs so much to go to school to become that.
Exactly.
And they are going to be making the money to pay it off.
Correct.
Interesting. Thank you for that. I mean, I love to dig deeper. Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.